never-ending Russia investigation grinds on. Steve Bannon was just subpoenaed to appear before special counsel Robert Mueller's grand jury. He also testified today before the House Intelligence Committee. Bannon refused to answer the committee's questions about his time at the White House. That prompted committee members to subpoena him on the spot. Congressman Trey Gowdy of South Carolina was there, and he joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So did Bannon admit being a Russian agent? What did we learn?
We learned about a new privilege that before today did not exist. It's an executive privilege that covers transition communications, communications while you're working at the White House, and then communications after you separate from service at the White House. So that's why the subpoena was issued. It's because it is the most tortured analysis of executive privilege I have ever heard of. So when you make very provocative claims like treason and unpatriotic, and there's a 0% chance that these Russian lawyers weren't walked up to then see candidate Trump, then you're going to be asked about it, and you're going to be asked a lot about it, and that's what we tried to do today.
But does anyone believe those claims are true? I mean, I'm sort of losing track of the point of this whole exercise. Does anybody on Capitol Hill think the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government in order to subvert our democracy?
Well, I can't speak for my friends on the other side of the aisle. Adam Schiff said he had evidence of collusion before we even started. Yeah. I have seen no evidence of collusion between the Russians and President Trump, between the Russians and the Trump campaign. But it was Steve Bannon who used the word treasonous, and it was Steve Bannon who used the word unpatriotic. Those are two pretty serious accusations to level, particularly at the president's son. So you're going to be asked about it, and he also needed to be asked about things that happened with respect to Comey. The reason we had a little hiccup this morning was because executive privilege now covers things before you become the chief executive, which is just mind-numbing, and there's no legal support for it. But we can't make a witness answer a question.
So you've been in the middle of this investigation for a long time. What's your conclusion? Do you think your Democratic colleagues are acting in good faith?
I'm not good at judging people's motives. I can tell you, having been around Congress for 7 years, there's a built-in advantage for the Democrats in dragging this out as long as they possibly can. And they were really, really reticent to start. So once you are reticent to start, that tells me that you don't have an end date. They want this to drag through the 2018 elections. They want to retake the House. It is our responsibility to conduct as thorough an investigation as we can, but also do it in the most expedited way that we can. It'd be really helpful if the Democrats wanted to get started a little sooner, like in March or April of this year, but they didn't. So that's the politics. But quite frankly, Tucker, I don't think any of your viewers are holding their breath waiting on what a congressional investigation uncovers. I think they're waiting on Bob Mueller because his investigation carries more credence with them than ours does.
Well, the whole thing just seems so stupid to me. I mean, I'm willing to believe wrongdoing, on a lot of levels by a lot of people, but Russian collusion seems unproven. I wonder, just hypothetically, if these roles were reversed and Democrats held all the levers of power, do you think Republicans would be able to do what Democrats have done, which is drive this investigation from the beginning?
No, I can tell you firsthand we will not be able to do that because when President Obama was in office, we had an impossible time getting access to documents and witnesses when I was leading another investigation. But the biggest headwind of all wasn't President Obama. It was the media. The mainstream media could give a damn less about what happened in Benghazi. They're really, really interested in what happened in Russia, in part because they don't know anybody that voted for Donald Trump. So they're still trying to figure out how this election occurred and how his election occurred. So the mainstream media is the biggest difference to me between the investigation I did a couple years ago and the one we're doing now.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. Congressman, thanks a lot for coming on.